Chapter 10 Revelations. "How are you, buddy?" Ben asked as Corey walked into the kitchen in his bathrobe. "I'm okay," he said, sitting down at the table. Ben messed up Corey's hair and then poured a coffee cup. "Rough night," he said, as much a statement as a question. "That was the worst," Corey said. Ben thought Corey looked empty, like he was trying to block out everything, the good and the bad. He knew that look well. He'd seen it on Ellen 8 years before, and it had really left only in the last few days. He also knew that Corey felt bad about the scene he'd created last night. Ben had no way to tell the boy that his nightmare had helped Ellen more than he would ever know. Corey hadn't seen her leave his room. He hadn't seen the look on her face. She'd become a mother again. When Ellen walked into the kitchen, Corey looked up. She was the first person he'd allowed to glimpse the emotions he had locked away. Quietly, he said, "Thanks for last night." She walked over to him, rubbed his back, and said, "Hang in there, kid." Nothing more was said. Corey appreciated that. He headed upstairs to get ready for school. After a quick breakfast, he was out the door to meet the school bus. The clear night left the morning air surprisingly cold. It was 14 degrees as Corey got on the nearly empty school bus. 15 minutes later, Don boarded the bus and sat next to him. Math class went without incident, but science class started poorly. As he walked in the door, Mr. Kulex handed him a stack of 15 worksheets. "Here, these should get you ready for the quizzes you missed." The stack felt heavy in Corey's hand. He just looked at Mr. Kulex and sat down. "Put your things away, class. It's time for the quiz." Mr. Kulex handed out a quiz to each student, including Corey, who wasn't sure what to think. He hadn't been there for any of the material. How could he be expected to take the quiz? He looked at the paper as it sat on the desk in front of him. Mr. Kulex was standing above him, looking down. "What seems to be the problem, young man?" he said. "I wasn't here for any of this. I can't take the quiz." "You had the book overnight. You knew there would be a quiz. I don't see a problem here, do you?" "That's not fair," Corey said, a little louder than he'd intended. Mr. Kulex exploded. "How dare you say that I'm not fair? You drop in here in the middle of my course from God only knows where, and you expect to be pampered like some little kid. Well, I'm sorry. If your parents cared about your education, they would have kept you in one school at least until the year ended. So you want to talk about fair? Go talk to your folks. Now shut up and take the quiz." Corey was in a state of shock. He struggled to listen to logic, but all he heard was, "Get away." It may have been the wrong move, but he stood up and walked toward the door without saying a word. "If you walk out that door, don't even think about coming back." Corey walked out into the hall. He didn't know where he was going. He just knew he wasn't staying. Before he could get to the corner, he walked into a fast-moving woman carrying a huge stack of papers. It was Mrs. Conley. "Corey, what are you doing out here?" she asked. Before he could answer, Mr. Kulex shouted from his doorway, "I called the office. They're expecting you." "I think you had better come with me," Mrs. Conley said. Sitting in the guidance office, Corey reluctantly told the whole story to Mrs. Conley. He noticed that she didn't seem surprised. "Look," she said, "you shouldn't have walked out of class. I'll straighten things out with Mr. Kulex, but you need to promise me that you're going to stay put from now on." "But he—" "No buts. You stay in class. Will you promise?" "Yeah." "Why don't you hang out here until the bell rings and then go to your third-hour class?" third hour had him back in the library and back in his magazine. Ms. Osseo smiled as he came in and said, "Hey, there he is. How's it going?" As if on cue, Mr. Kulex walked into the library, carrying Corey's books. Dropping them loudly on the table in front of the boy, he said, "You forgot these. By the way, you flunked your quiz. Now there's a surprise." Mr. Kulex walked out. Corey looked at Ms. Osseo and then at his magazine. He closed the magazine and stared out into space. Darkness was returning. The rest of the day went better. He had a lunch ticket and made it to all the right rooms at all the right times. In PE, towels were set out, though he was still the only one to use them. In homeroom, he felt as if he was invisible. No one said a word to him, and Mr. Kulex didn't look up from his desk once. After an uneventful bus ride home, Corey asked Ellen if he could go back to the Barrens. She said yes, and he took off down the road as fast as he could walk. As he entered the vast wildlife area, his spirits seemed to lift slightly. Nothing here reminded him that he was the new kid. He flushed a prairie chicken from a stand of trees. This was enough to shake the gloom from his head. Exploring further, he watched a northern harrier hawk skim the snowy ground for mice. At times, he just stopped and listened to the wind. When the sun was getting low, he started the walk back home. Before he turned onto Pine Road, an old Chevy Blazer passed him with what looked like a TV antenna sticking out of the roof. He made a point to ask Ben about that. Arriving home just before supper, he had only enough time to wash up and sit down to eat. Unlike the night before, there was no talk of school. Oddly, there was little conversation at all. After helping to clear the table, Corey began to walk out of the room. Ellen said, "Corey, please sit down. We need to talk." Corey sat. "Mr. Kulex called from school tonight. He said he kicked you out of his classroom today." "He didn't kick me out. I walked out," Corey said anxiously. "You what? You just got up and walked out?" Ben asked. Corey looked frightened. "He was saying things about my—" "I don't care what he was saying," Ellen said. "You can't just decide to leave his classroom. I understand that things are a little rough right now for you." Corey stood and said angrily, "You don't understand. You can't understand. You don't know what it's like there. You've never had a kid in junior high." As the words were leaving his lips, logic hit him in the chest so hard that it knocked the breath out of him. He wanted those words back. The immediate look of hurt on Ellen's face confirmed what logic had just revealed to him. How could he not have seen it? Ben saying again. The sheet over the train set, the B-plus bird feeder. There had been another child who lived here, and he, or she, was gone. Corey now understood the Reverend's warm reaction upon meeting him, Ellen's acquaintance with Karen, and, for that matter, why he was living here rather than someplace else. Corey sat down, speechless. A painful silence filled the room. Ellen pulled together her courage and began to speak. His name was Andy. Leukemia took him from us when he was 14. That was 8 years ago. Corey felt the pain he had inflicted with every word Ellen spoke. Ben sat down next to Ellen, put his arm around her, and said, "It was wrong for us not to tell you sooner, but it's been difficult." Corey could see that the large man was fighting back tears. The boy was not as strong, and tears flowed freely down his young face. He wanted to say he was sorry, but the words couldn't be found. He was afraid to say anything for fear of hurting these people more. He slowly stood and walked to his room. Corey collapsed on his bed. He usually thought of it as a victory when he unraveled a mystery. Not this time. He wanted to unknow this. He wanted to somehow turn back the clock, but he couldn't. There was a knock on the door. He knew it was coming. Ellen would say that she was sorry, but it just wasn't working out. She would explain how she would call Cindy Dahlia in the morning and have her find another place for him, some place where he couldn't hurt anyone. Let's get this over with quickly, he thought to himself. Come in, he said. Ellen came in slowly. We need to talk. She sat down on the bed. Much to Corey's surprise, she reached out and pulled him close. Looks like we both had a rough day. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner, but I couldn't. It hurt too much to talk about. I think you know what that's all about. Now, if you're having problems with a teacher at school, we'll deal with it. She kissed him on his forehead and said, Better get started on that homework. She stood to leave. Corey looked at her like he wanted to say something, but no words came out. Night blurred into dawn in a confusing mix of emotions. Guilt, loneliness, and anger took turns keeping Corey from sleep. As the sunrise struggled to light up the room, there was a knock on the door. Corey pulled the blanket up to his neck and said, Come in. Morning, Ellen said with a smile. Good morning, Corey answered, sounding confused. Look, this is a new day, and you and I are going to start fresh. We need to add one more rule to our list. It's not good enough anymore for us to just be honest with each other. I think we need to add some type of no secrets clause. I don't get it. There were things, important things, that we should have told you, and you should have told us right away that you had trouble in school. No more secrets between us. Do we have a deal? Yeah, Corey said. Then I guess I need to tell you something, he added in a serious tone. Pulling the blankets down to his waist, he said, I don't sleep in pajamas. Ellen burst into laughter and shook her head. I think I already knew that one, she said. When you get downstairs, I've got blueberry pancakes ready to hit the griddle. Cool! Oh, and I'm driving you to school today. Why? I have a few things to take care of.